Oh, this hoodie colour really doesn't suit me. It like makes me look ill. And I'm not feeling great today, but I'm not as ill as this hoodie's making me look, but it is just the comfiest thing ever. I've stolen it off my mum. It's so soft and cuddly that I'm like, I don't even care because I'm cold right now and it's comfy, so I'm gonna wear it. It's a shame though, because I have this really lovely like green coloured Oliver bonus top, and you can see the difference and like how I look when I've got a decent colour next to my skin versus this peach washed outness. So yeah, I am, if you've ever had your colours done, or seen other YouTubers have had their colours done. My mum's been into it for like years before it was a thing on YouTube, and she had hers done, and then when I was pregnant she treated me to getting my colours done, and I found out that I'm a winter, and this is definitely an autumn colour, which does not suit my kind of already slightly yellow skin as it is. But winters tend to have like these bright colours, they tend to look good next to us. And yeah, so I'm a winter. And also Oren, my mum took him, she's got a friend who does it, and she took him to have a coffee with her, and she did some draping on him as well, and he is also a winter, whereas my mum is a spring. But I did think it was interesting that he and I are the same season, because I did think there was a good chance he would be, just from like looking at clothes that suited him, but also because we are so similar. Like, he does look really similar to me. Anyway, welcome back to this week's casual conversation. As you can see, we are in a different location because I'm actually currently at my parents' house, because it's Thursday, and yesterday Oren got sent home from nursery with a temperature. He did really well, I have to say, because I had my second interview with the company I was talking about in last week's video yesterday, and I was just, he was a little bit warm when he woke up, but he was absolutely fine. Like, he was, you know, totally himself, and he tends to get a temperature when he's got a tooth coming in, but otherwise he's absolutely fine. So I sent him off to nursery, and he did really well. He got to like almost 5 o'clock, and then they called me and said he has got a bit of a temperature now, and also he's kind of like lying on the floor, not really doing anything, so we think you should come pick him up. So I did, but that also meant that he couldn't go in today. So that's why I am not filming at home, because I've had to come to my parents' house so that they could watch him for me quickly while I film this video. So this is actually a corner of my mum's office that I'm stealing right now. I have to say though, I think I've done very well, because Oren started nursery in March. Admittedly, he was only going 1 day a week to begin with, but since he started nursery, this is the first time they've ever asked me to go pick him up early, and it's the first time he's not been able to go into nursery because he's ill. So given that it's now August, I think he's done really well with that. He's been doing 2 days a week since beginning of June. Yeah, since the beginning of June he's done 2 days a week, so I thought it might kick in at some point, because in the early days he did used to catch a bug, but because he had a full week between when he went to nursery and when he went back, he usually had caught the bug, been ill, and then recovered before he had to go back to nursery the next week. So it's not that we didn't have illnesses, like he did, but just through the nature of how like I started him off at nursery, that was how it worked. And actually from September he's going to be doing 3 days a week as well, and if I get this job that I've been applying for and interviewing for, then he'll go up to 4, because it's a full-time position that I've applied for. But either way, like if I don't get this role, then he'll be doing 3 days a week at nursery, 1 day with my parents from next month, and if I do get the role, then he'll be doing 4 days in nursery and 1 day with my parents. So it's either 4 days or 5 days, but I'll be working more next month either way. So like I said, I had my second interview yesterday. Thankfully, no tech issues like I had with the first one, which I talked about in last week's video. I did manage to figure out what that was though, because I messaged my mum the day before and said, could you please jump on a Teams call with me? And we did, so she sent me a link like the company had done, and I clicked through onto it, and we had exactly the same issues again, because the nature of how the company works, like I couldn't use my Teams app because of the security settings, so I had to go in through the browser, and it was the Safari that was causing the issue, the Safari browser that was causing the issue. So I was able to kind of copy the link across and do it in Chrome, and that solved the issue, thank God. But I'm really pleased that I tested that out with my mum the day before, because otherwise it probably would have happened again. So shows that being prepared and testing those things does work. So thankfully no tech issues yesterday, and I'm relieved about that, because this interview was definitely a lot more intense. It was the questions that were being asked were harder, because the first one was with like the person that would potentially be my boss and a colleague of theirs, and this one was with the person who would potentially be my boss and their boss as well. And so there was definitely some tougher questions to answer. So anyway, I did the interview and answered all the questions and stuff, and I came out of it and I was just like, I have no idea how that went. Like I genuinely did not know where I stood coming out of that interview. And again, not sure if that's a comment. Like the first interview I came out of it, initially I was like really devastated, because obviously I'd had the tech issues and I thought that was going to really go against me, and I hadn't been able to focus like in the first 5-10 minutes, because I was focusing on like, could I fix the issues, or was there any point in like continuing with the interview because it wasn't working, and then like mentally have a conversation with myself to be like, get over it, Brian, just like keep going. And that was fine, obviously didn't put them off. But this time, obviously there were no tech issues to worry about, and so it was just focusing on the interview questions and everything. And I just like, I answered them, and there were some questions I answered where I was like, when I came out, I was like, I think I could have done a better job at answering that, and some that I felt I'd done a really good job on. But I really was just like, it could go either way. Like, I literally have no concept of it. So that was interesting, because I think after the first one, it said initially I had that like dip of feeling really down about it, but then once I kind of got over that and had spoken to my mum or something, and she was like, actually, if it's just the tech issues, they're not going to be worried about that, they're going to be worried about how you did. And then I thought back to actually how I did in the interview, and I thought, oh, actually I think I did quite well. And so I was a bit more confident after that. But this time, yeah, just don't know. They made some good comments, they made some positive noises and things that they said, but who knows. But either way, whatever happens, I've just been treating this process as like a learning experience, because I have like other avenues to explore as well, and like other pathways to go down. So it's not like this is the be all and end all. I would really love to get this job. I think I would be like a good fit for the company, and I really like what they're doing and stuff, so it would be great if it does work out. But if it doesn't, like, it's not the end of the world. So I'm just trying to very much have that mentality. But I will say I am absolutely knackered today, and I think that's because the adrenaline, like the interview wasn't until 3 o'clock in the afternoon, because one of the people that was joining was from the States, and like the kind of the rest of the day I had a meeting in the morning for something else, and I was quite pleased to have that because it was a good distraction. And then I had a little bit of other work to get done. But really I knew I was just going to be focusing on like this meeting, this interview in the afternoon. And then afterwards, like the adrenaline, like that you're functioning on and it drains out of you. And I was just knackered. So it's still kind of coming on today. Probably not helped by the fact that I had a blood test this morning, and I never seem to react particularly well to blood tests. So just a combination of everything means I'm a bit knackered at the moment. So if this video doesn't make sense at points, please forgive me. Actually, this blood test is something I wanted to kind of touch on, because the reason I had this done this morning is because I have started seeing a new doctor. It's been a while since I've had like a private doctor who I've been under for like specific conditions, etc. Initially I had a doctor who looked after me with like my Lyme disease, and then I had a doctor who looked after me with like my adenomyosis. These are all private doctors, and I was having this issue recently where I've just been feeling really nauseous after I eat. Like, not every time I eat, but every so often, like, I'll get a really bad wave of nausea, feel kind of heady, a little bit palpitation, and I'd had a couple of other symptoms as well. And I'd initially gone to the doctor, at the regular GP, about this, and they'd done some tests and they'd come back fine. And then I went about another issue, and I mentioned the thrush, and I mentioned some other things I was having, and they just kind of ignored it. And I was like, do you know what, I think I would like to speak to someone about this, because it really isn't fun, like feeling sick almost every time you eat. And it started to interfere with like my ability to go out and enjoy meals with my friends and stuff, because I'm just so worried that I'm going to feel sick. And in fact, like 2 days ago I went and met a friend for coffee, and I had like a muffin and a drink, and I did feel sick after that as well. So I was like, this is getting ridiculous now. It's really interfering my life. So I decided, I mean, I saw her before this coffee, but I decided that I was going to go and see a doctor and just get everything tested, just go and see what they said. And so I found someone who I've now started seeing, had an appointment with her on Monday. She kind of went through my whole history, and I then went in today and had a blood test on that she recommended. She does want me to have a more comprehensive panel, because she's a qualified general practitioner, she's a GP, but she also does functional medicine. And my Lyme disease doctor was also a functional medicine doctor, and I really liked that about her, and it was something that worked quite well for me. So I was kind of keen to see if I could see if that was going to work well for me this time too. So I'm in that weird place where I'm like, I kind of want the blood test to come back and show something, because I want there to be an answer to why I'm feeling like this, and preferably something that's very easy to solve. But on the other hand, you also don't want to have any problems, because nobody likes to be ill. But I do feel like I'm now at least on the path to figuring out what is currently going on, because it's really interfering with my life at the moment. And I think it's been worse since I had what I think was COVID at the beginning of June. So we went on holiday in end of May to Monaco, and I talked about it in another video. It's a little bit of a disaster, that holiday. It wasn't the best decision that we made. We really shouldn't have gone. I woke up on the day of the trip feeling really sick, and then when I was out there, I noticed I was really sensitive to dairy for the first time ever. Like, if I ate dairy, I had really bad stomach cramps, and it really upset my tummy and my digestive system, which it hasn't done before. That lasted for about 2 to 3 weeks, I think, and then obviously came back from that holiday and then was ill for a week and then ill for another week with, I think, either 2 separate bugs or one bug that morphed into something completely different because they felt completely different when I actually was going through them. But I was ill for this like 2-week period, really fed up of it. Again, I talked about this back then. But since then, I think that's when this issue has been going on. So I wondered if, like, I never tested, so I don't know for sure if it was COVID. I had a few of the symptoms of it, or if it was another bug. But whatever it was, I think it might have triggered something that's caused this kind of nausea, because I've always been sensitive to food. I've never had a big appetite. I mean, it's really annoying. Whenever I go out to eat, people constantly comment on how little I eat, and I'm like, this is just my appetite. Like, I don't have a big appetite. I never have done. And I'm clearly, like, not wasting away. So I'm eating enough for me. Thank you very much. But it all happens all the time. But I've been used to that. And I've learned over the years that I have a small appetite and I can't push it because I do feel ill. If I do so, I get really bloated. Feel like I get really bad pain in my stomach as well. Like, I've never been able to eat large portions. But this nausea thing, this is new. This happens, like, even if I haven't eaten too much, it's more about, like, what I've eaten. And I think in particular, I'm really sensitive to sugar at the moment. Like, if I eat something sweet, that's what's giving me this, like, head rush and feeling really funny and everything. And so I thought, well, I really should get this looked at. So that's why I went to the doctor. And, she's done the blood test today. She's going to test my blood sugars and other stuff to see what's going on as well. But yeah, just really, I think it's got worse since I had that bout of illness. Like, I think before that, this happened every so often, it wasn't common, but it definitely seems to be more frequent recently, and I think that's since I had that bug. But I feel like it's been a long enough time between that bug and now that I really should have recovered from it. So potentially either something else is going on, or I don't know. But that's why I've gone to a doctor anyways, to try and figure out what's going on there. Also, because I have talked about before, but at some point in the future I would like to try for a second child, and I definitely do not want to be doing that while I've got any other health issues going on, because it was enough of a struggle with my first pregnancy when I was reasonably well, pretty good actually going into pregnancy, and then was really ill. So the last thing I want is to go into a pregnancy already feeling slightly unwell in some way, shape or form. So I definitely need to get this sorted before I can even think about that. But on a more positive note, I now have a new pushchair to replace the Bugaboo Butterfly that was sadly stolen a couple of weeks ago when I accidentally left it outside my car after I'd taken Oren to the doctor with me. And I was initially thinking that I was going to get the same pushchair again, get another Bugaboo Butterfly, because I did really like it. But as someone who actually quite enjoys trying out new pushchairs, I thought, well, rather than just getting exactly the same one again, because the Bugaboo Butterfly currently only comes in like 3 or 4 colours, and the only one I really liked was the one I had before, which was the stormy blue colour. And so I would have literally had to get the exact same one again. And I was thinking, it was a great pushchair, I really can't fault it, but it would have just been replacing the one that was lost. Whereas I thought if I tried maybe a different brand, that might potentially turn something that was obviously quite negative, because I've lost my really good pushchair, into like a more positive thing of, well, now I get to try a new one. So in the end, I debated for a long time about this. I was torn between getting another Bugaboo Butterfly or getting the Jules Air, because I feel like they're kind of at the same level and they both have kind of similar features and stuff. And eventually I decided that I was going to give the Jules Air a try. So it has now arrived, and I figured I might as well show you it very quickly. Okay, I appreciate this really isn't the best angle, and hopefully you can hear me well enough. But anyway, this is the new Jules Air, currently folded down. One of the things that I really wanted was to make sure that the pushchair was compact enough to go in an overhead lock on a plane, because that was a really useful feature of the Bugaboo Butterfly. So that was kind of one of the main reasons I was replacing that pushchair with this, because I have other pushchairs like I've talked about before, but that was my most compact one, and it's the compactness that I missed. So the Jules is actually slightly lighter and slightly smaller than the Bugaboo. It also stands more easily, because the Bugaboo, like, it would stand independently, but you really had to work on like leaning it the right way. To open it, it's just a button on here, and it opens up like so. And I have to be honest, the thing that mainly sold me on this pushchair was the colour, because it is just this absolutely gorgeous. This is the ocean blue, I think, and it's kind of like a teal colour, and it's just, oh, I absolutely love it. I have to say, I am not a fan of the really like muted colours that a lot of pushchairs have at the moment, like the beige and the grey and the like the black. I just think they're so boring. It's just not for me. So when I saw this, I was like, I love this colour. I may have been sold on getting this pushchair purely for the colour. But anyway, very similar in size to the Bugaboo. The only thing I haven't got yet is I need to get the footrest, which you do have to buy as an additional extra, which is a bit annoying, but it did come with its rain cover. This is the Jules Air Plus, and I saw some places online saying that the Jules Air didn't come with the rain cover and that was a downside to it, but this one did. I don't have to pay extra for it. I got it in a sale as well, so instead of, I think its usual price is $4.19, it was $3.86, so it was a little bit cheaper. So yeah, it's got a really good hood, and I loved the fact that when I tried it out in the store and I unzipped it, I could see that the hood comes a really long way down, particularly when the seats reclined, because on holiday and stuff, obviously when they're sleeping you want them to be really in the shade out of the sun. The main thing that made me hesitate about getting this pushchair, I've got to be honest, is the recline function. It's a zip, which is not my favourite. But basically you unzip it all the way around and then it reclines back, and it's pretty much, in the UK it's pretty much flat. If you're in the States or Australia, I don't think they do it completely flat because of your regulations, but in the UK it's flat. And you can see like it's got really good sun coverage at this, when it's reclined. And I have to say this reclines more than the Bugaboo Butterfly, and I never had an issue with getting orange sleep in the Butterfly either, but I thought this would be a really good option. It does have an extra position. Again, its recline function is not my favourite. It's got a little button that you press, clip together, and that kind of sits up a bit more, and then you just have to zip it up to get it into its fully upright position, like that. So I'm going to test it out and see how I find the zip like in the real world, but I do like that it's got a pocket here, because that does annoy me when I have, like, if I'm just taking Orange for a walk and I just want my keys and my phone, the Bugaboo Butterfly didn't have anywhere to store it, whereas this does. So that was another pro that made me choose this. The basket, a little bit worried about that, because the Butterfly had a fantastic, I think it has the best basket on the marketplace for ultra compact pushchairs, but this one, like, it's still really good, and I managed to stick my backpack in it when I was experimenting. And I've also recently just bought a buggy organiser which straps on up here, which I'm going to put all of our own stuff in, like the nappies, the wipes, changing mat, all that jazz is just going to go on the bars here, and then I'm going to have a smaller backpack, and I'm going to trial that because I think I prefer to have just his stuff in something that stays on the pushchair, and then I can just have a smaller backpack, because at the moment whenever we go out, we always go out with a pushchair almost inevitably, unless I'm walking somewhere, which is very rare. So I'm going to trial that system. The other thing I really liked about it when I tried it in the shop is the buckle system. So just like the Bugaboo, it has individual bits where the straps clip in, so you can do just 3 or you can do all 5, and then you press them and they release all together too. I really like that system on the Bugaboo, their strap system, so that was something else I was really keen to get. The other thing I'm really curious about is to see how this feels when he's actually in the pushchair, because when I tried him in it in the store, I think it felt nicer to push than the Butterfly, and it certainly has like a lovely, like, oh hang on, it's currently got its brake on, but it has like a really nice feel to it. And so I think it's going to feel really great to push. And finally, the last reason why I chose this one over the Butterfly is because the Jules Air has the ability to go from birth if you buy the bassinet, and there's loads of bassinets like secondhand on Facebook Marketplace, you don't have to buy them brand new. And as I said before, I'm thinking about having a second child in the future, and so being able to potentially switch that into a compact pushchair with a bassinet on it. And it's really clever how it folds with the bassinet. I tried it in the store as well and I really liked it. So it has that option, whereas the Bugaboo Butterfly doesn't have a from birth option. You can attach car seat adapters to it and put the car seat on, but it doesn't have a bassinet option. So that was another reason I went for this one. So yeah, I'm really curious to try it out. As I said before, I used to have the Bugaboo Butterfly. I've also previously had a yo-yo, a Baby Zen yo-yo, or it's now the Stocker yo-yo. I think they've changed brand. But anyway, I've had a yo-yo before and I didn't like that one as much. The basket was not as good. I didn't like how the seat was quite reclined. There are many features about that I didn't like, so I'm really curious to see whether or not I rate this one and how I compare it to the Bugaboo Butterfly. So I will let you know. So my camera just died, and unfortunately because I'm at my parents' house I don't have the charge for it. I did mean to bring it with me early this morning, but it's the one thing I forgot. Anyway, so just quickly finishing up here. I will do a full review on the Jules Air and what I think about it, but I'm not going to do it on YouTube because the amount of views that they get versus the amount of effort it takes to like properly film it and edit it and stuff is just not worth it for me. But I will do a video on my Instagram and probably my TikTok as well if you're interested in kind of hearing my full thoughts on it. So go and follow me on them. The links are in the description box down below. But yeah, I'm really curious to try it. I didn't show you as well, but it's easier to fold and unfold than the Bugaboo as well, I think. So that's another nice thing about it. But I'm really curious to see what it's like day to day, how I rate it against that. So as I said, just follow me over there if you want to hear my full thoughts on it. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. Do please subscribe, and thank you as always to my Precious Star Superstar members for your extra support each month. It's really appreciated. If you would like to know more about becoming a member of the channel, please click on the join button down below, or there's also a link in the description box that you can click on as well to find out more. Thank you so much for bearing with me, and I will see you next week. Bye everyone. I hope you have a great day wherever you are in the world.